Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Cold Take Podcast. This afternoon, we're in Salt Lake City with Abbee. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm excited.
Well, we're doing this a little earlier than most people would probably do things, so
yeah.
I don't think I'm a little tired, but you know, time zones. I'm from Tampa, so the time zone kind of throws me off because it should be like 11:15.
Yeah.
I woke up at 6 and I'm like, is it 8 a.m.? But
well, I just came back from Vegas literally the last night at like 11 p.m. And so it was an hour behind over there. So I was so stressed about waking up on time this morning. But I'm here. I made it.
Oh, it's funny because I set like 3 alarms for this, but then I was up like 2 hours ahead of time anyways. So I'm like, let me turn off all these alarms so I don't like have a heart attack when I'm just trying to do anything.
That was me this morning. I was too excited. So I woke up like an hour and a half before my alarm went off, even though my alarm was set for like 6:50.
Yeah, because we've been planning this for probably like, I think 2 months now. Because I messaged you initially like in January.
Was it in January?
Yeah, it was like January like 15th or something. I have like crazy memory. I'm not like a stalker. I'm not obsessed with people. No, I remember specifically because we were in Ohio for our first like actual guest one. And my producer guy was like, guest-based podcasts are going well, so find more. And I was like, well, I have a couple of names that I want to contact. And then I messaged you and you got back pretty much the same day. So I was like, cool.
Like I said before, I do check my requested DMs just in case. Any like little opportunities like that, I go through all the pointless ones and I find the good ones.
Yeah, we were talking prior about how a lot of the requested DMs, well, was it a comment or a requested DM that somebody was like, can you pee in a bag and I'll buy it for $10?
That was a comment. That was a comment.
It was probably a TikTok comment.
I have a person in my requested messages right now that says goodnight queen every single night, and they have for the past 52 days.
Have you ever answered them?
No.
Oh.
But the willpower is there.
They'll probably, they might see this if they're keeping that up to date with you.
Yeah, no, I have there's a lot of message requests that obviously there's nothing to be said, but I do have really cool ones, obviously like this one, and I've had a few artists reach out to me and want to do like collabs with me. And so
that's cool.
That's why I like to check them, just in case I miss out on like a good opportunity. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know, you mainly do like music. That's your main thing with content creation, not just random videos on TikTok.
Yeah, it started out with music, and it was hard to gain traction, to like have people like, you know, follow me and like know that I do music. And so I kind of took to TikTok to just like gain that traction and gain people like knowing who I am.
Yeah.
Obviously it took off more than I thought it would. And so yeah, I kind of just like connect my Instagram to my TikTok so that people can go over there and like listen to my music over there and not get too lost in just my random content. Yeah,
because it's like pretty, I'd say it's pretty difficult to gain any traction with music recently, just because
so many.
Yeah, it's so, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure, probably oversaturated is the word, but like oversaturated at the low level where you get like a lot of people on SoundCloud that are not really putting a lot of effort into it, but then there's just so many. And there's, especially if you're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, you'll see anybody that now will say like, oh, I'm on SoundCloud, go check out my stuff. And at this point, people will kind of ignore it. So
yeah.
TikTok kind of brings a cool thing into it because you can add like your own music in the background. Because if I remember correctly, I think you guys did release a song fairly recently.
Yeah, and I did get to make a TikTok with it, which is cool, like going through the sounds and being able to just look up my name and my stuff's there. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, it was cool being able to like use it, and that helps people, I think, realize a little bit more that I do music, other than my wimpy bio that says I sing too. That's like the only way that I let people know unless they go to my Instagram. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Got a couple new listeners from that. So
yeah, how did you like get into doing it online? Because I know a lot of people that are in like my area, like Tampa, or even in other cities, since I've been traveling a lot more, that do like live events and things like that, and they want to get into the online sort of music creation stuff, but then never actually did, or they don't know how and things like that.
It was pretty easy for me. Not a cool story around it, but I have terrible stage fright. which is funny as a musician, although they are out there. Frank Ocean, for one, is like a huge artist, has top-selling albums, but doesn't perform because he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm working on, because I want to be able to, and I used to perform in front of people all the time. It just hit me out of nowhere. It's kind of like a fear of heights. When you get older, all of a sudden you're just like one day afraid of heights.
Oh God, those TikToks when people are like doing like parkour on top of skyscrapers. I want to die.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Where like people as kids, they're jumping off playgrounds and whatever, like want to fly, and then one day they wake up and they're terrified of heights in general. And that was me. I like performed in front of people all the time. Woke up one day and I just was terrified to do it. And so I was like, I want to get my music out. I want to sing for people, but not in front of people.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, the more people are listening to my music and requesting concerts and wanting to see me and stuff, like, I've had to work on it a little bit. But the nice thing is, like, in Utah specifically, we have so many little venues around here that are, like, specifically meant for, like, up-and-coming artists that can't book, like, the bigger venues and stuff, and so there's a lot of venues that I can play and I've already talked to, and so I'm hoping this year is like the year that I'll do my first like show.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I keep getting distracted because I'm not sure where the microphone clip is.
Wait. Oh my goodness. There it is. Me over here. I'm like, will it rub against it? Let me just take my old card.
It should be fine. I can always adjust levels and stuff like that, so it should be fine. But so how long have you actually been doing it for?
That's kind of a hard question. I feel like a lot of people in music feel that way because you're kind of just like born to do it. Where like you're 4 years old and singing and drumming on random stuff, and so I think like music has always been in my life and something that I've done, but like when I started taking it seriously was when I was 16, because I like learned how to play guitar and everything then, and that was a big moment for me because I kind of just taught myself, and just every day after school would just come home and play and try to write songs, and God, I still have my song book from back then. And they were terrible. Songwriting is a thing that you have to like work on for the most part. And so it was about like I guess not this last December, but like December 2020 was when I wrote like my first decent song. And I was like, I think I have something here. And that turned out to be the first song I ever released.
Oh, that's good.
And the one that people loved. So I was like, okay, cool. And like ever since then, I feel like something just like clicked. Where I was like, I understand like the songwriting process now, and I know how to do it. And I know how to write about things without it sounding stupid. So yeah, it's been a while now, but I think like right now is like I think later in the future I'll be like, this year was the year I started taking it like immensely seriously.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean when you say like that's like a hard question for a lot of musicians, because I've always done music. So when I was young, I'd like, my parents were telling me that I seemed like I was going to get into music, and I'm like, oh, whatever. Then I was 8 and asked for an electric guitar for Christmas. I ended up getting an electric guitar for Christmas. I didn't actually put the work into learning it, so I never ended up learning that. We gave it to like our neighbor because I wasn't playing it, and he wanted to play guitar, so I was like, whatever, I don't care. I was like 10. And then I tried to play keyboard. That didn't work out either. So
piano's hard. It didn't work out for me either.
So then when I was in 5th grade, I had like a thing at the elementary school that I was going to, because I lived in North Carolina for a short time there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure how they do it in different states, but at least where I was, at the middle school that I went to in Florida, what they would do is you'd go through like a week at a time of trying out different classes and decide what you wanted.
That's fun. I wish.
Yeah, I didn't really do that. But because I was in North Carolina when I was in 5th grade, and what they did was they'd have like elective teachers come to your school and like show you things. Oh. So then this lady just started playing violin, and I'm like, I want to do that. So then I started taking orchestra classes in 6th grade, and now it's been just over 10 years.
So how many instruments do you play then? Because you said you play the saxophone too.
Oh no, I want to play the saxophone. Oh. I've got a friend that plays saxophone that he's going to teach me. But I started on violin. I play viola. I can play bass, both stand-up bass and bass guitar. I've played cello, so pretty much every orchestra instrument. I did get a guitar like 3 years ago, so I started learning guitar, and I have a keyboard now, so I'm learning piano. So, oh,
Like,
and I play
keyboard
drums.
round 2, let's go.
Yeah, and I play drums. So I kind of just
It's a lot. Jeez.
I'm kind of just like, oh, I want to learn this now. So saxophone's like the only wind instrument that I'm slightly interested in, and I'm actually like more than slightly interested in it. So
Do some smooth jazz.
yeah, I think it'll be really cool once I learn how to do it. But no, because if somebody asks me like, when did you start music? I'm like, well, if you're asking me like actually, like 8. Because that's when I was like, can I have an electric guitar? But then if they're
when
like,
the interest first peaked.
and then when somebody's like, when did you start playing violin? It's like, well, I was 11. Or when I started playing in front of people, I was like 14. Because I was, the thing about me is I completely understand the whole stage fright thing because
It's intense.
I've had like bad anxiety in the past. So when I started playing like in front of people when I was like 14, it wasn't really at events, but it was at like this big church in my area.
Nice.
So it was like anywhere from like 600 to 900 people there each week. And I was just like, what if I mess up? And then the
It's
music director's like,
terrifying.
you'll be fine. These people don't care. None of them are musicians. They're not going to notice. And I'm like,
People say that, but maybe it is like since we are like musicians, we listen to the music intensely.
oh,
like,
you're
we
always your
notice
own
the
worst
mess
critic,
ups.
especially in music.
I bet they are right that people like that just listen to music and are like, cool music. Like they don't pick that apart, but at the same time, it's just so scary.
Man, I have voice memos of me playing in front of people, and I'm like, dear God, what happened there?
That's how I played my first show ever in front of people at like this little backyard barbecue last summer. And it was the day that my EP came out. And so my friend was like, you literally have to. Your EP came out today. I'm having musicians come. Like, you have to play. And so in my head, I was like, he's got a point. Like, I do have to play. And people recorded it. And when I was up there, I was like, this is going okay. I think this is going okay. And then I watched the videos the next day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, why did I do that? I messed up right there. Why is my voice shaking so much? There's literally 30 people here. Like,
Oh, well, it's definitely a thing that you got to get used to.
it is. At least afterwards, like after that, I feel like I started singing in front of people a little bit more. Because I'm the type of person that I don't even sing in the car when people are in there.
Oh, I'm the same way. I mean, I don't sing, but like I've had people that I've dated or whatever do the thing where they sing in the car, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not my thing. Sorry, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, my boyfriend begs me to sing for him, and then like certain days I'll be like, hey, I wrote this new song, like let me show you it. Like I want to hear your thoughts. They're like, okay. I sit down with the guitar, I strum once, and I just go,
No.
never mind. Or I'll just start busting up laughing, and then I'll just put it away, and I'm like, I tried. But I'm getting better at that. I think I actually played in front of him for the first time like 2 weeks ago. And I could play in front of my family a little bit sometimes, and maybe one of my friends. Which before it was like 0 people. It's like such a rare occurrence that like I give my mom that for Christmas. Where I'll be like, I will sit down and sing a song for you as your Christmas present.
Thank God somebody understands me. Dude, I played violin for so long, and my parents are always like, why don't you play for us? And I'm like, that's not happening.
And then you get to use it, though. It's like a free gift. And so you're like, since it's such a rare occurrence, that is like gifted to you for like your birthday or like Christmas or something. And of course she loves it and cries every time. But like,
I don't even do that.
see, take advice from me. If you're like, if you do not know what to get them, get them you performing in front of them. They love it. And
No,
it's something easy, quick. You learn a song, and then, boom, you're all good. Present spot.
yeah, no, they're always like, you play in front of people, but you don't play in front of us. I'm like, it's very different. I don't practice at home. Well,
It is.
I was in this weird, like, niche group of kids that never studied, never practiced, none of that stuff.
Yep.
So then I just got lucky and got good at the instrument without, like, practicing, which probably helped with, because each week I was going to, like, these rehearsals for the church that I was playing in. So I guess that probably helped, because it's just, you're playing more anyways, so
Yeah.
you're doing more of it. So I'm always just like, well, it's different going to a rehearsal and playing with like other people, but not in front of people.
Oh yeah.
And then
100%.
I would get terrified when it was like, oh, we're doing a Christmas concert. There's going to be 2,000 people there. And I'm like,
Oh.
oh my God.
No, definitely not. And I think one thing that people don't think about is I've talked to a lot of like musicians about performing live, how they do it, whatever. And most of the time, they're not the only one up there. They have a band or they sing with somebody else or like whatever. They have that like moral support. And of course, out of everything, I chose singer-songwriter style of just me. And so I feel like it's so much scarier when it's a room of that many people and then it's just you.
Oh, yeah, it is.
On stage. And so I've like reached out to some people, and so now I'm like, maybe I should like get someone to play the guitar for me. Like obviously I write them, but like that's one thing I have to worry about. One thing less I have to worry about on stage.
Yeah.
Is playing the guitar and singing. So someone can play the guitar, someone can play the bass, someone can play the drums. And look at that. I have a band, I have people behind me.
Yeah.
I'm not like the only one people are staring at, because I know when I go see people live, I'm looking at all of them and I kind of just switch back and forth. It's not like sole focus on like the singer. Yeah,
I know what you mean, because I have I've played at a few of these like small concerts where it has anywhere between like a few hundred to like a couple of thousand people. Mm-hmm. So I remember I did one back last June of 2021, and I played like with multiple people on some songs, but then there was one or two that it was just me and a guitar player, and I was like, nobody's going to pay attention to the guitar player that's sitting on a stool. Everybody's going to pay attention to the big violin player that is like doing all of the crazy stuff, trying to play like a Spanish tango. I'm like, this is not my style of music, man. He's like, well, I want you to play it. I'm like, all the attention's going to be on me and I'm going to mess up.
That's the scariest part, is if you know that you're what people are either coming for or just paying attention to. And it's something I obviously have to get over if I want to go anywhere with my career.
Yeah.
But we're working on it, you know? I'm writing, there was, going back to the requested messages, there was a band in Utah that, like, messaged me and wanted to, like, collaborate with me, and they invited me to come out and see their show, and I did, and it was super awesome, and they're like, you should open up for us sometime, and I was like, yeah, totally, like, I could definitely do that. But they've actually helped me like a ton with, like, I asked them kind of how to like ease your nerves, how to have like, they had this energy that just like made the concert so much more fun. They were super engaged. You could tell the audience was super engaged. And I'm like, see, I need to learn how to do that, because I feel like if the audience is more engaged, I'll be less scared than if everyone's just like crickets, just like staring at me. And so they've helped me a little bit. So hopefully this year I'll be able to like open up for them, and that'll be like baby steps, you know, because people don't come for the openers. There'll be way less people when I'm playing.
Yeah, but it's also like a lot of the things like that are just things that you get over time.
It's like exposure therapy.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Because I remember when I started, I was like, every single week I was like, I'm gonna mess up, and then afterwards I'd be like, I messed up this one part, and he's like, okay. And then now, like, you know, many years later, I'm just kind of like, who cares? Whatever.
Yeah, I need to get to that point of like, you know, people mess up. It's whatever. Like, it's totally fine. I think watching live performances has helped me like get there a little bit better, because I think you get so focused on like studio recordings and you're like, it's flawless. How do they do that? Whatever. And it's like editing. Duh. When people perform live, obviously they're still great. Are they going to mess up once? Maybe. Is their voice going to crack? Possibly. They're going to forget the words? Maybe. That's my biggest fear. Is like forgetting my own words that I wrote myself.
Yeah.
That almost happened when I did my little like backyard concert. And that, I feel like that's the most embarrassing. Because you're like, I literally wrote this song is mine, and I'm forgetting the lyrics. So I've been like, sometimes in my car, I'll literally just listen to my music over and over and be like, I know the words. I'm not forgetting that. And even like drilled it to my head so that when the opportunity arises for me to sing, it's just like memorized completely.
Yeah. I think it's also a thing of messing up when it comes to like, obviously we do like two completely different things. I'm not very public with my music stuff. I just kind of do it in my free time. Mm-hmm. And you're doing it like on social media and stuff like that. So there's a whole different level to that, as well as just releasing it publicly. But then there's also the thing of like, when you're playing an instrument, I think people accept mistakes a whole lot better than when it's like your personal voice.
That's true.
also why I don't sing is because I'm like, that seems a lot harder.
That is true. And that's why I hate, like, I don't hate it, but of course I pick playing an instrument and singing at the exact same time, which makes it both of them harder. And I can either mess up my instrument while singing good, or play great and forget the words, or just mess up both at the exact same time, and then it's just like a double whammy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm like definitely thinking about maybe getting like people to play my music for me, so that I don't have to focus on both at the same time.
I feel like
way scarier that way.
I feel like my thing with that is I would be like, you didn't play that how I wanted you to play it. I would have control issues with that. I don't usually have control issues, but when it comes to something that I like creatively work on,
that's true.
I get very picky about it.
That's true. Luckily, I'm a little too laid back, where someone could completely butcher my song and I'd just be like, yay! I really have no opinions when it comes to that. So honestly, I don't think that's something I'd have to worry about. I'd just be like, you did as good as you could. So proud of you.
At least I wasn't the one that messed up. We're
exactly.
Fine.
I'm like, at least the pressure's on you now. Good job. Thanks for taking that weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
I could see, like, I am a little protective over my music, though, sometimes. Where it is something, like, people don't realize the amount of work that goes into it.
Oh, yeah.
And especially with, like, my first EP, I guess, like, one of the songs I wrote maybe, like, a couple days before I released it. It was super fast and sudden. But, like, 2 of them on there, I wrote, like, a year and a half before. And through that whole time, like, tweaked it, like, figured out, like, music. One thing about me that's, like, super, like, I'm so picky about is my music has to match the words in, like, the most perfect way where it, like, clicks in my brain. Because sometimes I'll, like, have the lyrics, I'll start writing the music, and I'm, like, sure it works, but, like, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how to explain it other than that. And so it took, like, a year and a half for me to finally find, like, the sound that fit as well. And then obviously recording, and Ben's here, and he helped me record a ton, and that took a while, and me laughing and messing up and whatever. And then the whole release of it all, like, it's so much work going into, like, one song, let alone, like, a whole EP. And so, yeah, I think if I put that much work in and then it got messed up, I'd probably be a little sad. Just a little bit. But definitely not control issue state, just more, like, in the corner, like, oh.
Like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah. So I was going to get to that with the whole, like, studio recording thing. Ben helps a lot with, like, all the producing stuff and things like that.
Yeah, he did basically my whole entire EP. Super grateful for that. We, like, lived across the hall from each other when all that was going down in the same apartment complex and everything. So I'd literally just, like, after work be like, yo, can I come record one of these songs? Like, just cram it in and bust it out tonight. And so we'd just spend hours, like, trying to get it right. And luckily he was someone that I could trust to be like, I'm gonna go home and go to bed. I know you stay up later than me. Can you, like, tweak this a little and add some little, like, cute things to it? And so he got to add some little, like, runs and lines in there and stuff as well that were, like, his and unique to him. And that was really special to me, that I could kind of have a mini collaboration on with that. And then obviously the single I just released was, like, a full-on collaboration with my other brother, who also dabbles in, like, producing.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 brothers.
Oh, God. I have 1, and that's more than enough.
Yeah. It obviously was crazy growing up, being the only girl and being the youngest out of, like, 3 older brothers. But we all grew up to be, like, homies, and we're all into music, and so we all get to just, like, jam together. And me and my oldest brother are planning on taking, like, this next Sunday to just, like, have people over and just jam out and play music for a couple hours. And that's something I'm, like, super grateful for, that I have people in my life that have the same interests as me and can help me out. And when I don't know what I'm doing, they can be like, I do, and be able to help the process. Because I know 100% if I didn't have them, I would have never, like, released music, I don't think. I tried doing it on my phone and stuff, and God, it was horrible. It sounded so bad.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear my dog walking in the background and, like, barking, and, like, me trying to edit it out, and it just sounds all warped and weird. And so I was very grateful that they both had experience in producing music and
yeah, it's like a whole world. You can't just jump into it.
No, and I'm so bad at technology, which is funny because that's like where I'm at right now is like doing TikTok and music, and I also have a job in marketing, and it's so funny that I'm just terrible at it. I think I complain about at least once a month and say I'm getting a flip phone because I just am so over it, and I look at anything with a computer and recording music and it just goes straight over my head. Like I am not an analytically thinking person, which I feel like you kind of have to be a little bit to do stuff like that, and I just get way too distracted too. I like I was saying before, like with ADHD and stuff, I'm just like, cool, I've been sitting here for 5 minutes, let me go stare at the ceiling over here, let me go zone off for a little bit and just think about what I'm doing next week. And then I'm back to square one of like figuring out what I'm even trying to do in the first place.
Yeah. So you were saying that they all kind of were into music too. None of my family has ever done music. Like none of my distant family. I was like the first one. So everybody was just kind of like, "What the hell is this?
Like, where did you get this from?"
Like, what's going on here?" And everybody was just like, "What the hell?" So is it like your parents have also been into music too, or just all your siblings?
That's the funny thing is like we definitely grew up very music oriented in the fact that we would have like our family get-togethers would be like dance parties, or like we would always be listening to music in the car or around the house. Like we always had speakers around the house even before like Bluetooth speakers or like Alexa or whatever. So it was definitely like there and a very like big influence on our lives, but neither of our parents like play music or sing.
Yeah.
They just like it a lot. And so I guess we just got that random gene too, but it was literally all of us. So.
Oh, yeah, my brother doesn't do sports, he doesn't do music, he doesn't do like anything. That's like extracurricular to his life.
I don't know what that's work. Like.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I'm just like, I do all of it. I just try to do everything.
Same. I'm like, even if I'm bad at it, I just want to experience everything. I want to try everything. I was definitely that kid in elementary school that switched from track to soccer to dance to gymnastics to horseback riding to music eventually. And yeah, I wanted to try everything. Not saying I was good at everything. I think I was only good at the music part. But I wanted to try it. So.
Yeah. My one of the music directors, it's funny because I still refer to him as a music director even though he's just more of like a friend now, because I've known him for so long. What he said to me a few years ago was, he was like, "Oh, your parents never played music, but like as in like played music, whatever. But they would like go to the stereo before like Bluetooth speakers were a thing and like blast some like 70s or 80s music. They're like, we're gonna blast some Def Leppard or whatever else." And I'm like 8 years old and I'm like, this is what music is.
You're like, yes, I like it. Cool. I was thinking about it literally the other day where a lot of people tell me that my music gives them Cranberries vibes.
Cranberries?
Yeah, like the Cranberries, like the band.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, they're like a band from like the, I don't know, say like 90s, early 2000s. I think they started releasing stuff again. But it's funny because it's like, that was the music that like I probably listened to the most growing up. My mom loved them. And so I would listen to them all the time. And it's funny that like under the radar without me noticing, like I took that and like ran with it. And now it's part of like my music style. And so now I can be like, that's cool. Like you can like almost see exactly how like the influence of music when you're younger like affects you in the future.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it, but I've had so many like countless people be like, gives me like the Cranberries vibe. And I'm like, huh, what do you know? I guess I just kind of picked that up and just ran with it. And now it's just a part of my career, which I like a lot. Obviously, I loved them growing up, so I'm happy. It's a good compliment.
No, I definitely relate to that because when I'm playing, people are like, you don't give like a classical style. I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? They're like, you play violin like you would play an electric guitar, and I'm like,
I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah, but it's cool because they're all like I play with another violin player, and she is like really good at classical music because that's all she's ever done. It's all I did for like 7 years. But then when I was out of high school, I'm like, I've played classical music for 7 years. I don't want to do it ever again. But
I feel that.
No, she's been doing it for so long too. So like it's funny whenever we play together because there's always one or two people that come up to us afterwards and they're just like, you two have such different styles, but it's great. And because it's like, oh, she has like the the traditional classical style playing violin, and then I'm just over here like, oh yeah, let's rip a solo on this
I'm doing
bitch.
my own thing over here. No, I definitely relate to like doing this certain thing for like so long, and then like once you're like done with it, you're like, I'm doing something different now, because I was the classic theater kid. That's like, obviously I had to find a way to like do what I love to do, but with school and extracurriculars when I was a kid, so I was like, theater. Duh.
Yeah.
And so I did theater music and stuff like that for the longest time, and show tunes and all that, which on the sidelines I was not listening to that. I was a theater kid without like being obsessed with like the show tune. Like I didn't listen to Broadway music in my free time. Like it was just there, and I did it for the longest time. And as soon as I was like out of theater, that's when I was like, I am never doing theater, show tune, classical style of singing again. I'm going to my own like singer-songwriter, like kind of alternative, because you just get kind of tired of it, and it doesn't feel like you. It's like, it's what you were supposed to be doing at the time, but you were like, it just feels off.
Oh yeah.
It's not like my style. And
No.
so finding it afterwards is like so awesome, because then you're like, now I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had people that are like, you sound so different than when you played in high school, and I'm like, good.
You're like, that's the best compliment I've ever received.
Or they'll like, I'll be talking to somebody about it and I'm like, I feel like I'm not as good as I was in high school, but that's because it's a completely different thing. I was playing every single day, but I was also playing like this fast classical music. Now I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll just do whatever I want. So I'm fine with not being like as advanced as I was, but I mean, it's always good when you have your own style to go into. I think I enjoy it more now than when I was in high school, because there was a couple times when I was like, I think I'm done with this. Like at playing in general, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. But then I stuck through it. So, I mean, I'm fine. But
it's funny. I hear a lot of people talk about this, like what you just said, where you're like, I guess I'm not like as advanced in it, but at least I got to do my own thing. I totally disagree with that, 100%. I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's just so many different layers to when it comes to music that like, sure, there's going to be people that are very advanced in like classical, like traditional music in whatever category they're in, but at the same time they probably or sometimes don't have the ability to do their own unique thing and sound like super cool and like that.
Like I'm probably dog shit at classical now, but I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like crazy at being, well, not crazy, but I'm like significantly better now than when I was a couple of years ago at like contemporary styles or like improvising, doing my own stuff, things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people can't do that, and so I'm like, dude, run with it. Like, that's something that a lot of people wish they could do. And that's me with guitar all the time. I tell people, I'm like, I taught myself. It's pretty basic. Like, I tell people, I'm like a campfire guitarist, where I can play, like, basically anything that has, like, pretty basic chords and can just look at it and play it. But, like, I can write my own music. I can hear my songs. That I will literally, like, just wake up at 3 a.m. and hurry and grab my phone because, like, I have song lyrics, like, in my head.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would kill to have that, but, like, could beat my ass at guitar any day. So I'm like, you know, grass is always greener. You just have to, like, be grateful for, like, the talents that you do have, because a lot of people are probably really jealous of you.
Oh, yeah. You're always going to be better at something than somebody else is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
No, because I remember when I was, like, I don't know, 18 or 19, if somebody was like, make up your own part, I'd just sit there and be like, especially if we were like in the middle of playing and he's like, your turn to improvise, do a solo. I'd just be like, I'm just gonna hold one note and you do whatever you want, man.
You're like, I'll be your backup.
I'm like, I'm not doing it, don't put the pressure on me. But what you were saying about the campfire guitarist kind of reminds me of a comment that I saw. I think it was on an Instagram, on your Instagram story, because a few weeks ago you posted a thing saying like, what do you guys want me to talk about? And among all of the kind of, I wouldn't say garbage comments, but like not useful comments to address. There was one that mentioned like, where do you get like they said nomadic style, and I was like, okay, I think nomadic is like moving around places, but I know what they mean. It's like,
I think basically what they were like meaning is kind of just like my music style in general.
Yeah.
Because it is like a little bit more unique, and in my EP I had like an intro that was just instrumental, and I had like bridges where it's just like harmonies and cool background music and stuff. And so I think people do wonder a lot, like, how did you come up with that? What was like the idea behind it? And
I think indie would have been a better word.
that's how I'm like, it's more like indie singer-songwriter, little bit going into more alternative after like my last single. And I think it has a huge thing to do with obviously who I listened to growing up, and especially like when I started being in charge of my own music. It's like that when you go into like junior high-ish, when you have your own iPod and you're like, I get to put my music on here. I get to choose what I want to listen to. And like going into that, mine was very surprisingly like pop punk and Green Day and Blink-182 and like more hardcore. So it's so funny to me that like I turned out making really soft like synthy music. But I think it's just I wanted music that people could feel. And like even if there weren't words there, it makes you feel a certain way. And that's like my favorite type of music, where even some of my favorite songs ever do not have words or lyrics whatsoever, and it's just music, because it makes me feel a certain way. It makes me like play out a story in my head, and I wanted my music to be able to do that, instead of just being like a fun little pop thing that people are like dancing in the car to. I want it to be more like that hit right here, like that hit in the soul, which I've had a couple people reach out to me and be like, this song or like the EP or something like really just spoke to me. And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, that is like the best thing you could ever say, because that was like my goal. I just wanted people to feel something, whether it was like the lyrics or the music in general. I wanted people to feel differently after they listened to it. And so I feel like my EP did that pretty well, where it kind of, I remember it took me forever to even like figure out like the song lists and like how I wanted them to go, and like I thought way too deep into it, where I would like dissect my lyrics, and so I'd be like, well, this one's talking about this, and this would usually be after this, and so let me do that, and like so that it has like a whole story. So if you listen to it from like start to finish, it does have like an introduction, like a middle, and then like a conclusion, which I love when people do that. I strictly, if a new album comes out and somebody instantly presses shuffle, it's an instant
Spotify
ick.
took that feature away, thank God.
Yeah, I'm like, that's an ick. I'm like, do not. I'm like, 'cause most of the time the songs are in that order for a particular reason. And some people don't understand that, and that's crazy to me. But I wanted people to like really listen to it from start to finish, so that they could have that like indie, dreamy, hazy type just like story come alive, which I guess it worked. Some people have said that, so I'm happy for that.
That's good. So with the like the style and things like that, would you say that one of your like your inspirations were the things like Green Day and Blink-182 and like that early 2000s or late 90s kind of style of?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if rock would be the right word. When I think of rock, I think of like 70s, like Kiss, Def Leppard, sort of like let's go.
It's kind of like like 90s rock, 90s alternative,
like punk rock. That is probably the
yeah, that's it. I would say that definitely helped me like pick up a guitar and like learn how to do that, and those were like the covers that I was doing. I was huge into all things. I was kind of emo in like junior high, not gonna lie. And I do those TikToks where I like rank like the pop punk bands and stuff like that, because like I've always been into like,
and then people get pissed at you because you don't know one.
I know. Or they're like, you would put that band there? You're crazy. And I'm like, yo, personal opinion. So definitely helped me like pick up a guitar and like learn how to play it and everything like that. But I'd say like writing my music, inspiration came heavily from like singer-songwriters. Which I say I think I've posted about this several times on my Instagram, but like Chloe Moriando. It's like huge inspiration. Same with like Beach Bunny, and then Olivia Rodrigo came out with like her Sour album, obviously huge hit, but that was like right at the time that I was like writing my album, and so I kind of got to take little bits of that as well and be like, I like how she did this, or like a song that I just barely wrote was kind of based off of that, where instead of, she packs a lot of lyrics into like one verse, where it's like a lot of words instead of just like stringing out words, and I was like, I like that, I'm gonna try and do that. And so I kind of just like pick apart lots of different artists, and it helps me just become my own unique self. But I think it helps that I have like the giant contrast between like Green Day and Blink-182 and all that, and then like softies like Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Other than Good For You, I guess she had some good Green Day vibes in there, but...
You're like, I'm going to listen to all the small things and then immediately switch to Driver's License.
Exactly. And then I'm like, then I'm just going to mash the two together, take some of that, and boom, I have my song.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I obviously I don't play guitar very heavily. I just like kind of know how to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't take a lot of inspiration personally from those. Like I really like those bands, but they're not something I wouldn't say that they influenced like my style or anything like that. But it's really funny when I go through my playlist and if somebody's in the car with me, they're like, "What the hell is this?" Because it'll be like something crazy. Oh God, like what's a? It'll be like something like All American Rejects, and then immediately switch to like a Taylor Swift song, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?"
That is literally me. I had to. If you look at my Spotify, I'm a very organized person. So I've organized every single playlist to pop punk acoustic, to country, to oldies but goodies. Got 2 different oldies.
I've got one playlist and it's got everything.
See, and I like have to organize mine, but with that being said, I'll click on the playlist, shuffle it, and then I'm like, no, not in the mood. And so I'm shuffling pop punk, and I'll go shuffle country like directly afterwards, or I'll go shuffle my oldies where it's like 20s and stuff, or like Frank Sinatra and stuff. It's just all over the place. And every single time people are like, pick a vibe. They tell me that all the time where they're like, just pick, what mood are you in? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just in all the moods. It changes every 5 minutes. Or sometimes I listen to a song and then I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this one other song that's in a completely other playlist and genre of music.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up like any examples. Oh, like I've got Breaking by Amberlin in there. And then if I scroll down a little bit, I've got... Let's see. No,
like,
these are all kind of
One
similar
Direction.
styles. Oh, I don't have any One Direction songs, unfortunately.
Oof, gotta fix that.
I don't even know any. Well, I know like 2 One Direction songs. So.
Oh, I was definitely a One Direction fan, for sure. If you're into music, and a girl, you're gonna jump on a boy band train eventually, and I did. And I ran with it to the ground.
They all break up.
Yeah, I ran with it till the ground until Zayn left, and then I was like...
Were you a big time Rush fan?
See, I wasn't. And that's funny, because it's like, you really just pick one, and kind of just like, run with it. And then there's like, the Justin Bieber fans, which I was very late to that train. That was like a couple years ago, that I all of a sudden was just like, full force into that. But yeah, we have like Big Time Rush and then 5 Seconds of Summer and like all these other little like boy bands, and you just kind of pick one and then you're just like a stan for life.
Yeah.
And that was me with One Direction. I ended up being front row at one of their concerts.
Oh, that was probably nice.
Check off the bucket list, you know. I lost like 30% of my hearing from it, but it was 100% worth it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh yeah, the tens of thousands of screaming girls at the top of their lungs for 4 hours straight will do it.
No, especially if one of them just walks towards you. Then everybody's like, oh my God.
It's funny because they literally just like, they like go to pick up the microphone to say something, and then they say one thing like, hi. Everyone just loses their shit.
Oh yeah, and then you can't hear anything, and you're like, come on, man.
Crazy.
I'm paying money to hear what they have to say, and you're screaming in my ear.
I know. And then they'll even be like, guys, shh, we want to do this one thing. And because they want to do that one thing, people are like, yeah! And just go crazy and do the exact opposite of what they just asked. And I think that was the last concert I ever went to at like a stadium. And I told myself from now on, I'm only going to like small venue shows because of that reason.
You probably wouldn't find many big artists at small venue shows, though. That's the thing that sucks.
And that's definitely true. I remember like, I want to say it was like maybe it's this year, like The Weeknd is coming to Salt Lake, but they're going to the stadium. And I said,
no.
I was like, as much as I would love to, the way I found a way around that is like going to music festivals.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're smaller stages, less people, it's outside, it's breathable.
It depends on the music festival.
And it's huge people playing on the stages, but like it's way less than a stadium. At least the ones I go to. I don't go to like Coachella or anything. I'm sure that's huge.
Yeah, I live in Florida, so I kind of experienced Rolling Loud last year.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, no, that's a little different. I went to, I've gone to Life is Beautiful in Las Vegas twice now. And it's pretty spread out. They have like a lot of stages, and I feel like they split up their artists. Like, I know that's scary.
I was like, what the?
You're like, don't come in. It's a lot more spread out, and so I got to see Green Day. And I was like not even that far away, and I didn't feel very crowded because it was outside and it was spread out, and I got to see Black and who was the other one that was like a big deal that they were there? Oh, like Tame Impala. Which, when Tame Impala came here, they played at the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't see them. But then I saw them at Life is Beautiful. So it's kind of like, I have to wait, but like at the same time, it's worth it.
Oh, and you get more people too.
Yeah, I don't want to sit down, which is funny. I feel like a lot of people want to sit down at concerts. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me feel weird that I'm like super hyped and have like all this energy, but I'm just like stuck in like a plastic seat. I'm like, yes, this is the best day of my life.
That's the thing with that I found really awkward is because I've gone to concerts and I don't want to sit down at concerts, but then I went to a Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert a few years ago.
That's sick.
And nobody stands for that. Everybody's just sitting in their seats.
Oh, sure.
And then, which is like normal, but then when like the lead guy for them is like, we want people to stand up, everybody's like, no.
They're like, respectfully, no. Thanks though. Yeah, I feel like it's a big part of like the audience demographics of at Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's definitely gonna be like older generation-ish.
Oh,
more.
yeah. My parents are a whole lot into them more than I am. I'm just like, yeah, they make cool music, and my mother's like, I want to go to their concert.
She's like, I will die to do this.
Yeah, she was disappointed this year because she didn't go to it, and I'm just like, you can. Tickets aren't that expensive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, never say never. You can. So it's all about how much you want to.
Yeah.
It's like my Life is Beautiful ticket was like, I'm trying to remember, $600, $700. But I wanted to go, so I did it.
No, these Trans-Siberian Orchestra ones are like $50 or $60, so.
Oh, yeah. Definitely do that.
I think she might have been busy or just didn't want to drive, because in Tampa there's like the Raymond James Stadium, which is like where the football games or like some concerts are held, and where the very disappointing Tampa Bay Buccaneers play all their football games, and then there's the Amalie Arena, which is like the Tampa Bay Lightning, the hockey team plays in there, but they have a lot of concerts and stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's in like both of those are like downtown Tampa-ish, and we live like an hour from downtown Tampa now. So my mother's like, I'm not dealing with that traffic. I deal with that traffic every single day of my life. I'm not doing it on a Saturday. And I'm like,
I don't blame her.
Don't complain to me if you don't get to see that concert then, because they're not coming to the middle of nowhere town that nobody knows that's an hour away from the city.
I feel that though. I relate to it where I don't have road rage. I just get like moody.
Oh yeah.
Where I'll just go quiet and like one little thing in my head, I'm just like, I'm so over this. I just want to go home. That was me yesterday driving home from Vegas. And Utah's getting so bad. I feel like it's getting so populated now, and the traffic here just pisses me off every day. So yeah, I try every way to not drive.
How bad is the traffic here? Because I've never been here, so I don't know how many people live here. I don't know how crazy it is. I don't know if it's like a big...
But like, I think... Well, I know, because people have said this in like in news articles, that a ton of people from California during COVID were moving here.
Yeah.
Because like they weren't going to work, they were working from home, so that meant that they could work anywhere. And so they wanted to come to Utah because Utah was a lot cheaper, but like still had the same like economy-ish. And so we had a ton of people from LA and California move here, and I've seen it with my own eyes. Like I meet people all the time that are from California.
That sucks.
And so yeah, now the traffic is very relatable to like LA at times. It's really, and people just suck at driving here, straight up. Like it's the worst. Where you kind of question like who is giving out driver's license and why. So it's definitely getting bad. It's making me want to dip out, go find another state that's a little more laid back.
It's not going to be Florida. It's probably worse there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You got like all the people from like New Jersey, New York area, California, Texas, even people from like Midwest area are just like, hey, I'm from Missouri or I'm from like Idaho. I'm going to go to Florida because there's nothing in the state that I live in. And I'm like,
Yeah.
please don't.
You're like, get out. This
Because,
is my state.
yeah, we were having a conversation a few weeks ago about how, if I remember correctly, you lived in Alaska for a short time.
I did.
The Alaska population, the entire state, is like 730,000 people. The population of the city of Tampa is almost 800,000. And I'm like, do not come to Florida. Ever.
Yeah.
Please.
No, every time. I've only been to Florida, I think, like 2 or 3 times. But it's a little crazy.
Yeah,
Gives
it's
me
just
LA
like,
vibes.
don't stay there.
Luckily, I'm not a big city girl. So I'm totally just down to buy a house out in the middle of freaking nowhere and just live there, drive an hour to a grocery store. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
As long as I'm just away from everybody and have a pretty view, then I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we just moved in November to this like kind of middle of nowhere because we were tired of the construction traffic because everywhere in Florida is under construction now.
That's how Utah is.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna widen the road here. We're building new stores here. We're gonna put a Walmart right there. And I'm like, no, I don't need a Walmart 2 miles from another Walmart because that's just gonna cause more traffic. Because then you're going to build a neighborhood in between those, and it's going to drive me absolutely nuts.
Sounds a lot like Utah.
Yeah, we moved to kind of the middle of nowhere, where the population of our town is like 9,000, which is not very many when it's like land-wise, it's a big area. Like the town is a big area, so we're not really near many people. And it was like a newly built kind of neighborhood, so nobody even lives in there. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is fine. I'm fine with living in the middle of nowhere. I know my friends have to travel an hour to see me, but if they really want to see me, they can do it.
That is my thought process. So I'm like, literally though. And if anything, it weans out the not good friends.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's like, if you're not going to come visit me, then you're not as cool as I thought you were. And if you are going to come visit me, heck yeah, we're going to be ride or dies.
Yeah. No, the funniest thing is that we moved to this town, and one of my friends actually moved to a town like right next to it. It's like 15 minutes away. Mm-hmm. He moved there like probably like 7 or 8 years ago. So I used to drive like 40 minutes to get to his house all the time because that's where we had our old studio at before we built our new one. So I would drive there all the time to do any sort of work on the studio or just to hang out with him, whatever we were doing. Now that I live like 10 minutes away, he never like hangs out, and I'm like, we're right next to each other, man. What the hell is going on?
It works like that sometimes.
He's like, I don't feel like driving to your house. I'm like, you drove to my house when I was 40 minutes away. What do you mean?
It's so funny how that works. That happened when I used to live in Salt Lake, and I moved to Salt Lake because like all of my friends and family and everybody like was here, and the amount of like weekends I would just spend like by myself, like not doing anything, even though I knew like 20 plus people that were all doing stuff in the city but just like couldn't hang out or didn't want to drive or whatever. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I do see them more now that I live like, I think I live probably like 40 minutes away from Salt Lake now, but yeah, I see them more.
yeah, like I've got my producer guy, he lives in like the Tampa area, so he lives over an hour from me, and he'll drive to like hang out. Like I think it was last weekend we even went like 2 hours more south because I have this really bad and weird obsession with old cars, and I was like, I want to buy this 1967 Mustang. So we drove like 2 hours to go see it, and I haven't decided on if I'm going to get it or not, what the situation is there.
Do it. My dream car is like I want to say it's 1979 Mercedes-Benz.
Oh.
That's like my dream, and I hope to get it someday if I ever find one for sale. They're just so limited.
Last week I was in Washington D.C. and I went to this one guy's like garage. He has so many. He's like the owner of like multiple car dealerships, like this whole car dealership group. Mm-hmm. So he's got plenty of money. So his garage, if I can speak, is insured for like $10 million. It is crazy. I'll probably send you a video afterwards. Like later, but I'll show you like a picture of some of the cars that he has.
That's
because
insane.
I'm like, holy shit, because he'll have like a brand new Lamborghini, but at the same time he has like a 1969 Mustang or like a really classic old Porsche, and I'm like, man, I wish. Yeah, like this is an old Porsche, and I'm like, Bro, that thing's so expensive.
Oh, that is so nice though.
And then this is, I forget what year it is, but it's a Mercedes Gullwing, which
That's, I want to say 60. No, maybe it's like 50s or 60s. It's old.
no, one of the people that I was with was like, oh, this whole garage is probably worth like $6 or $7 million. I'm like, no, that Gullwing will not sell for less than $1 million.
Yeah, that especially with how like good condition and stuff.
Yeah.
Is.
Oh, he had like a chromed out Mercedes, not wrapped, like just actual chrome, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, what? He also had one car that was like, there's only 14 of it in the world, and I'm like, man, how much money do you have?
That
Because he has his own personal assistants that work on them. But no, that just
goals.
fed my addiction of like old cars, because new cars will look great. Like I have a 2019 Mustang, so I like that body style. I don't really like any of the other body styles, but then when I look at classic cars, like the original like Chargers, Challengers, Mustangs, well, my mother tells me I get it from her dad, because my grandfather had an original Charger, an original Challenger, an Oldsmobile station wagon. He had like 5 cars, and they were all just really old ones. So
I wish I drive like a Hyundai Elantra, not the nice new ones, but I'm hoping. Yeah, I definitely want. I mean, my boyfriend has like, he already has 2 cars. He has like a daily and then like a nice car, and then he already wants to like upgrade the nice car to a nicer car. And then I'm like, okay, hold on, wait for me, because you can't be driving that around when I'm driving a 2016 Elantra.
like, you can't upgrade it. You can give it to me, and I'll sell mine,
like,
and then you can
hold
get your
on.
new one.
We need
But
to be couple goals and have like matching cool cars, and not me showing up in my cute little just like little dinky car.
get like matching. I think they're the new GR86. They're little Toyota cars. I don't know how much you are into like cars, but I will talk about cars for like the longest time.
My boyfriend definitely knows more than me, but I know a little. He's rubbed off on me a little bit. So
Is he the type to get a Miata?
I love those cars. I love Miatas, but the old Miatas.
We are gonna wildly disagree on that one.
What?
I'm just tired of seeing them. Everybody in Florida has one.
See, they're so like, you do not see them a lot here, and so like when you do, you're like, there's a Miata.
The amount of times I've seen 90s Miatas, and they're always red.
Really?
Always. They're
It's okay.
always
Well, if I
red.
got one, I'd want it to be lavender, which would be kind of sick.
Lavender.
That'd be kind of cool.
I don't think I've seen one that's like that color.
It is so cute. I looked it up and I was like, yep, I want that eventually. But obviously, like, it's not going to be like my main. That would be, it's really small. So we'll have that just be like my fun, like, whip around the city on the weekend type vibes.
Have you ridden in them before?
Once when I was in high school.
Yeah, it feels like you're on a skateboard because you're so close to the ground.
Yeah, and it's pretty tight, but it's cute. You just got to get the convertible ones.
I feel like there's other options. I'm the same. I'm saying this, but at the same time, I'm the basic guy that's just like, I want an old Mustang.
See, and I, like, Mustangs are cool to look at, especially the older ones, but, like, I personally would never get one. I'm much more into, like, I'd say more JDM style
Oh yeah.
cars, for sure. I mean, the next car that I'm getting after this one is a Honda Civic, either Sport or Type R, depending on what I want to invest in.
Like a newer one?
Yeah. Because I think they look real sleek, and they're nice, and good cars, I feel like, for the most part. Because obviously all the cars I actually want are Subarus, but we're not
Oh,
going.
Civics have been around for a long time. What kind of Subaru? Like an SUV or something?
I would want, I'm trying to remember the year, but it's like the hatchback Foresters, if you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. My Uber
no-
driver last night brought me here in
They're not
a
like the
Forester.
new ones. There's like, there's a certain year of them.
If you
that
live
I
in
really
Utah or
like.
Colorado, you're gonna buy a Forester.
Yeah.
It's just a personality thing.
But it's something I won't get, because I know Subarus have a bad rep, and then my brother got a Subaru, and he proved my point.
What Subaru? If it's a WRX, I'll be impressed. But
No, he had, Ben, what Subaru did you have?
a Forester. we had a guest. His name is Michael on our 3rd episode. He damages cars just for fun.
I did see that.
Yeah, so one of his friends had a Forester, and he's blown like 4 head gaskets on it, and still has not learned his lesson to get rid of that damn car.
Yeah, I would want a Subaru. I love them, but it's just, I know what's gonna happen. Literally, one of my best friends had one too, and her whole engine blew. So I was like, nope, we're gonna stick with Hondas. They're reliable. They're good. They last.
Yeah,
forever.
they've been around forever.
Yeah. Well, even mine right now, I feel like mine's just chugging along. It's doing good after all the.
How old is it?
Put it through. It's a 2016, but I've driven it from Utah all the way up to Washington, all the way back. Driven it through Moab. I've gone off-roading in the mountains with it.
I don't know what Moab is, but...
Oh, Moab, Utah? Oh, it's like... Okay, once I describe it, you'll probably, like, no. It's like the red arches, like National Park, where it's like the rocks that are like the arches and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's over there. And so I've driven it, like, off-roading over there in the sand. I've driven it through tons of snow and puddles. It's just still going. Like, not a single problem. I don't think I've ever had to pay for anything on it, so... I'm going to keep it for as long as I can. It's a good car.
Yeah, I mean, you said it's an Elantra?
Yeah.
I got in a car accident sometime last year, and I had to get an Elantra for a rental, and I hated that thing.
Really?
But I don't know what year it was. It probably wasn't even the car's fault. It was probably the rental company's fault, because like I was miserable because the whole thing smelled like smoke all the time.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, that as well as, like, I'm not sure if it's a thing with all Elantras, but, like, I don't know, it seemed like a lot of it was just poorly made. Like, it has the lane correction stuff, and I'm sitting there driving it.
Definitely nicer than my car.
And this thing was like, it was like a newer one, but somebody beat the hell out of it, because some of the stuff just wasn't working correctly. I'd be driving, and it would be like, I'd be within the lines, and then it would be like, oh, the lane's over here, and it would just like jerk like that, and I'm just like, I don't think I want to drive this.
Yeah, I test drove a car one time that had lane correct, and I turned it off because I was like, this kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I've got a friend that has a Honda Insight, and that's all he relies on. So anytime that he drives anybody else's car, like any of our friends, they're all like, can you actually pay attention to the road, please?
Oh, yeah.
Because like he'll barely drive because it'll just sit there and drive for him most of the time.
Also, he looks up and he's just like all the way over here. Like,
it's happened a few times. We drove it to Tennessee last year, and there was some times where the car was like, oh, there's an exit off the interstate. We're going to take the exit. And we're like, no, we're staying on the interstate.
We're like, hold up. You just need to like put some glue on his hand just on the steering wheel.
Yeah. The other weird thing is that like after it does so many corrections, it'll just be like, okay, we're not fixing this anymore. It'll just go like that. It'll just take you off the road. Like, we're dying now.
Yeah, no, like I said prior, I hate technology, and I will never have a car that kind of has a mind of its own like that. Everyone's like,
just get a 50-year-old car. There's no computers in it.
Yeah, they're like, the Tesla it drives for you. Like, I literally just like sit back and relax. I'm like, there's no way in hell that I would ever let a car just drive for me. There's no.
That's a lot of trust that you're putting into something.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm just like I'm not a trusting person. But I'm like, I would rather, if I'm going to die, it's going to be from me. Like,
I'm going to be the one to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to be the one that messes up. I'm not going to put all my trust in this, and you be the one that runs me off the road. If anyone's running off the road, it's going to be me.
Makes sense. I mean, kind of, it does.
It does to an extent. It makes me feel better, so whatever.
This isn't, like, related at all to what we are talking about, but it's kind of related to, like, earlier. Mm-hmm. Is, like, the music production and, like, editing and stuff like that something that Ben, like, actively does?
So he is also a musician and has music on Spotify and stuff. And so he kind of learned how to do it for himself. So he's produced like his own music and everything as well. But he hasn't done it really for anybody else. So if anything, I feel special. I'm like, not only is he like a producer, he's my producer. I'm like, he does
You've
my
been claimed.
Music. Yeah, I'm like, I don't have to share it with anybody.
He's in the background. Nice. He's like, yup.
Yeah, it's nice that, like, I mean, obviously we both have, like, full-time jobs and everything as well. But it's nice that I don't have to, like, revolve around, like, another person that wants to record and stuff. Like, it's just like, hey, can I come to record? Yep, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been super nice, except we don't live across the hall anymore. So now I'm going to actually have to take time, like, out of my day to come record, which I need to do really soon. I am having songs pile up and not doing anything with them. I'm getting over my head. For some reason, I had like a lot of inspiration lately and have like 4 songs already ready to go, but they're just not recorded. So, I need to get on it. Ben, if you're listening, I need to get on it.
What all does Ben play?
He plays guitar, piano. I feel like you dabble in drums and...
Guitar, piano, drums, accordion.
Oh yeah, he does
Accordion.
play accordion. I forgot about that. Yeah, our grandpa gave him like a whole like old accordion and learned how to play it. So
I've only ever met like one person that knows how to play accordion. It's just because he, every time I get like handed him an instrument, somehow he just knew how to play it. And I'm like, what is going on?
I feel like that's how my other brother is. He's played, well, he started with the guitar, then went to like electric guitar. He got a mandolin.
Oh yeah,
A banjo.
I can play mandolin.
Yeah, he's like, he got a mandolin, a banjo, and now like my other brother has the like, they're not drums, they're like the metal tin drums that have the little slits, and it's kind of like the yoga zen. Like,
Yeah, I forget what those things are called, but I've seen them on TikTok.
A pan, what is it called? Pan drum? I don't know either.
Maybe.
I don't know. You know the gist. Is that has another weird little like, it is kind of like a violin type thing, but it's like an old weird instrument that you do kind of play like that. I don't know. All of us can kind of just pick up an instrument.
Steel pan?
Yes, a steel pan where they just.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's one of these little things, kinda.
No.
Or similar?
Close. It's similar.
Hand pan.
A hand pan.
Hand pan?
It's a hand pan. But it's like.
Oh, yeah, it's like that, but upside down.
Yeah, there's a guy on my TikTok that always comes up. He's doing TikTok lives, and he does that hand pan by a river, and it's just like relaxing.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen exactly what you're talking about.
But they have like 2 of those now, and so now like all of us have all these instruments. They can just kind of like jam out and play like literally whatever we want. So the only thing I need to like get a grasp on is piano. My brain doesn't work that way though. I don't know why. It's just
you tell me when you get a grasp on it, and I'll try to see if I get one by then.
It seems a lot more like analytical than creative. Guitar, you can just kind of like da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Piano, it's like you have to be hitting the right keys. You gotta be in tune.
It's also hand shape and all that.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's so easy about piano and guitar and stuff, is as long as the strings are in tune, you're fine. Like, guitars have frets, violins don't have frets. If I move my finger that much, I'm like, God, that sounds awful.
Yep. That's even like my guitar, if I like hit the wrong chord and I'm down a fret.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, immediately I'm like, ooh, nope, we're gonna go reverse, go
No,
backwards.
it's funny because I give my music director friend a bunch of shit every time this happens, but there's been times where we go to play and then he just doesn't have a capo on, and he tries to play a chord, and the thing is, like, not just that he's gonna play it, but that he has me do like an intro to the song or something on violin. So I'm playing the right notes and he's in a completely different key, and he looks at me like I'm doing something wrong, and I'm like, I just keep playing. I'm like, it's not me.
You're the one to blame.
I'm like, I'm reading the music, man. I'm not wrong. And then he'll stop for a second. He'll be like, oh, and then take his capo.
My bad. No, it makes all the difference in the world if I don't have my capo. Like, especially as a girl, I have like a higher pitched voice, and so it is really hard for me to like sing if I don't have a capo on my guitar, because it's that lower like pitch. So I have to have my capo at least up to like 5, like the 5th fret. So if I don't have it, I'm screwed. You're not gonna get any singing from me if I don't have it on me.
No, it's funny. It's weird. I've gotten like good enough at violin to now. I know like talking and playing guitar is like, it's difficult. You have to like get used to it. But like doing, I've kind of figured out how to do that. And it doesn't seem as hard as when I was like learning violin and somebody would be trying to have a conversation with me while I'm playing. That is really annoying.
So like laser focused.
Oh, it was very hard because you've got a lot of stuff going on. You've got like even things of if you go to any orchestra teacher, they'll bitch at you just over how like you hold this hand.
Trust me.
So you've got like everything into it. But now I've gotten to the point where I will talk while I'm playing. And since I don't have a microphone, like whenever I'm playing, it plugs into the violin. If my music director misses a capo, I'll just talk mad shit while I'm playing. I'm like, oh, good one. Why don't you do that on the next one too? Like while I'm playing, and he can't laugh or anything because he's got a microphone and he's supposed to be singing, and I'm just talking trash and everything while I'm playing all of this stuff.
Oh, I love
and I got the other like the singers in the group just kind of looking at me like, this fucking kid.
They're like, will you stop it? Stop.
Like, stop causing problems, man.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, it's fun to do it, definitely, especially when you get people's reactions from it. My parents think it's the funniest thing whenever I mess with people with my instrument, whether it's just taking my hand and like sliding it up to make the dumbest sounds, or just like the remarks I make while I'm playing, making fun of people. Who knows? It gets really fun. You can do a lot of sort of crazy stuff that isn't like normally acceptable if you don't have a microphone.
Oh, I'm sure. And I can never relate to that because obviously I always have one. And so I just get the giggles. I get the giggles so bad whenever I'm like nervous or whatever. And so when I'm playing, if I mess up at all or I can like tell I'm about to mess up, I'll just do a little like just like in the microphone and everyone's like, what is going on? And I'm just like laughing to myself. I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. So I wish I had more people there that I could like troll with and not just make fun of myself.
Yeah, I do this thing where it's one of two things. It's either I'm bored or I feel like I'm about to mess up. I'll start spinning my bow like around my finger.
It's
so
like those like
I'll be doing like a
anxious ticks.
windmill. Yeah. So
That's so funny.
like all these people will be like, can you please stop doing that? I feel like you're going to hit me. And I'm over here with a bow this long and it's just going like this, like a windmill. And I'm like, sorry, it's just a reflex whenever I get going, whether I'm like bored of what's going on or I'm getting ready to play or whatever.
That is literally me, but I like mute out the strings. Like I just put all my fingers on them like a little bit lightly and I just strum over and I just go broop, 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 over and over, and then people are like, you gonna play now? I'm like, oh, sorry.
You're like, oh, that's a good point.
I'm like, yeah, sorry. Just had to like get my nerves out for a second. Helps me like prep for what I'm about to do. But yeah, no, people get kind of pissed off at me.
Yeah.
With all my anxious takes, I have way too many.
Yeah, I completely understand. But as far as like the music and all of the online stuff goes, I assume Spotify is the best place to find all of it.
Spotify and Apple Music are the same. I'm a Spotify user personally. And so
am I.
Yeah, definitely Spotify is what I use the most, but I think I released it to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and there's one other one that people use that I don't use. But yeah, definitely the best place to find me, Apple Music, Spotify.
If you want to watch videos, TikTok, but
TikTok,
that's not like music consumption.
Yeah, if you want to just see my personality and see me rate music and snowboard and all that fun stuff, TikTok. And then my Instagram is literally like the worst place to find me. Don't go there. I don't post there ever. I'm so inactive on it. It's bad.
No, I was telling the guy last night that I was talking to. I was telling Justin, I was like, I'm gonna come back to Utah sometime because I like the area and I like mountains, considering I've only ever lived near like flat land and beaches.
Yeah.
So I want to come back. And I also, it's been a thing of mine that I want to learn snowboarding. So this seems like a good area to do it, especially Park City.
Definitely, yeah. I would honestly like Park City for sure, but like there's less expensive places to snowboard if you're just wanting to like learn.
It'll be your job to teach me eventually.
I'm the person that taught myself kind of how to snowboard, has had 3 knee surgeries, and is just trying to get down the mountain. Just kidding. I'm all right. I'd say I'm like that, like intermediate, where I could do a black diamond, but nothing higher.
I don't know what that is, but
certain type of run that you can do. Yeah, I'm not the best, but I'm okay. I'm okay at it.
It's good enough.
Yeah, I'm like, it's fun. It's something that I enjoy, so even if I'm not that good at it, I have a blast when I'm there.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, you got a little gift of fresh snow.
Oh, that shit pissed me off. I was like, I've spent the past few weeks in Michigan City, Indiana, which was a ton of snow. Chicago, which is also a ton of snow. Where else was I? Washington, D.C., which was like, it started snowing the day before I left. So I was like, I'm tired of this. Which is, if you live in Florida, if you've lived in Florida your whole life, snow's cool to see, but then eventually you get used to it.
Yeah.
So when I landed in Denver, I took a picture out my window and I was like, you can't even see more than 10 feet. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it was a nice little snowstorm this weekend, which, I mean, sucks when you're traveling. But
No, it's cool because like it's
it's
not
a lot-
super cold either.
well, it's a lot prettier than like if a week ago when you came, everything was just brown and dead, and like the snow was kind of.
Yeah, I think I prefer this then. Yeah.
It's gross, and so this at least is like winter. It's pretty, like
Yeah, now it's getting into March, so it'll probably slowly start to melt away.
Sadly. Also, so sorry, my stomach is growling like so much, and if you can hear it in the microphone later, I'm gonna be so embarrassed.
I'll figure it out.
I'm just like talking, it's just like. I'm trying so hard. I'm like, let me put it away from my tummy a little bit.
We'll survive.
Classic of just being on the run all the time. I don't
Oh yeah.
get to eat. I forget.
So, is there anything like that we missed that you wanted to specifically talk about or mention or anything like that, or bring like awareness to, whether it's an upcoming like release? I know you recently had some music come out.
I did have a single come out, just barely, so definitely go listen to that. And just keep up with me, because if people are starting to like see me now, this is like my beginning phases. Like I said before, I'm like later in life I'm gonna be like this was the time I started taking it seriously. So definitely I only have a couple stuff out now, but this year I'm definitely gonna be releasing more music. Hopefully, if you're in Utah or if you just love me enough to come to Utah to see me, I'm hopefully gonna be doing maybe a couple shows this year as well. Just little ones, probably opening up for people. So yeah, don't skip past the stuff. I'm just in the beginning phases, so there's a lot more to come and a lot more to see. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
I think that's pretty much everything because I already covered where we can find you and everything like that.
Yeah.
I always mean to say this at the beginning of episodes because I get so many comments that are like, I didn't know there was a video version of like the
Oh.
podcast.
Oh, where
I've
you're
had
kinda,
people
like,
comment
either if
on
you're
other people's
listening
TikToks.
or like seeing on
Yeah.
is it on like YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube and Spotify both have
Yeah.
the video version, which is cool because
Oh.
apparently Spotify only allows like select few people to do video episodes.
Yeah, I haven't seen those ever. That's cool though.
Yeah, so I was like, now I can say that we do video episodes on Spotify. But I mean to say it typically at the beginning of the episode because then there was one comment where somebody was like, into the 2.5 hour episode, he's like, I've been 45 minutes into this and I didn't know there was video on it. And I was like, I should have mentioned that.
You're like,
So now I end up mentioning it all the way at the end, which is inconvenient, but there's learning. So I'll do it right eventually.
next time, just write a note right on your hand. It's
Yeah.
like, say that there's a video and you can listen to it.
Yeah. So if you're listening to the audio version, there's a video version available on YouTube and Spotify. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, any social media, and all of your socials. We have our own website, and every time we put an episode up, we put the guests like links and everything like that. So all of your stuff will be on there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna start posting on TikTok again, and you guys can see how just weird I am normally.
Find those simps in the live stream comments.
Yeah, go look through all my comments and see. Rate my comments from cringiest to somewhat normal.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all good. We both seem to need to be getting out of here somewhat soon, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I won't hold you for too long. But I think that's pretty much everything.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll
Thank
come back
you.
to Utah
Yeah, I was
eventually
gonna
anyways.
say, you flew all the way over here, so I feel special.
Yeah. So I'll be doing it again eventually. But I enjoyed all this. Hopefully you guys did too.
Yeah.
Both of you. I know Ben was
Ben
just
in the corner,
enjoying
just
it,
like, woo!
drinking his water. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything, and we'll see you guys next week.
All